Touchdown. Touchdown. Touchdown.
Red square,
Touchdown.
Touchdown. Buckle to my friend them.
Hi guys, thank you for joining us again on another episode of Music and Marriage. My name is Nikita, I am your host and this is my co-host.
I'm Black Red Square. Give thanks for tuning in again. You don't know another brand new episode of the one of the greatest, if not the greatest, podcast out there right now. Music and Marriage podcast. You know what I mean? Yes. I lie?
Oh, where is it? No lie detected. I didn't hear none.
Yes. And today we have a special guest with us, Sin.
Yes.
Lawyer, activist,
Actionist.
Actionist.
Yes, I.
you know, artist, you know,
Author.
so many titles. Seeing the esteemed Kwesi Bonsu, Esquire.
Greetings. Blessings.
Yeah, we give
First
thanks
and
for coming by.
yes. First and foremost, I want to greet your beautiful listening audience in that divine name of His Imperial Majesty,
Which is right.
Emperor Haile Selassie the First,
Yes,
Aye,
Her
aye.
Majesty Empress Menen. You know.
Aye.
Yes.
How was the journey? You know, finding us. How was it finding us? Was it?
It was good, you know.
Yeah.
I was just telling the Queen that even where we're taping now, it's very close to a childhood stomping grounds of I and I, you know.
See.
So, you know, walking distance from here on Valley Drive, you know, I spent many of the moments of my youth in Jamaica,
See.
you know, so close. So it's a good feeling being here with the IDEM.
Yeah.
And anytime I see black people, Rastafari people living that family life, it brings joy to my heart, because as I was telling Amlak, that is really the revolution right now that need to fight, is the restoration
Of the
of the
family.
black family.
Yes.
You see, I said that was the institution that was dismantling slavery.
Yes, aye.
You know, and that is what we are now struggling, and we're seeing the vestiges and the repercussion of those broken homes.
Yes.
You know, they shatter them.
Yes.
You know, the dysfunction, some of the ills of the society,
True.
the abandoned youths, and these things are stemming from broken homes.
Definitely.
So we have to address that, or we can have any crime policy that we want to have. We can throw as much money as we want to have until the black man and the black woman sit down and we mash out this thing that we have between each other, that we can be together long term to provide stable environments for the children.
Yep.
Yes.
Anything else we do like that, we're wasting time.
So what do you think is the first step in regenerating the family structure within I&I culture then? As Rastafari.
You know,
And then on a broader scope as a society, Jamaica. Because we know that Jamaica is basically, as you say, Gallus culture is more predominant than family life, family structure.
yes.
And it's easy to talk about it and say, well, you know, we know that this is not right, and we know that the way that we're living is not conducive to healthy upbringing of our children and as a whole, our society. But how do we combat, you know, the norm, the Gallus culture? How do we combat that?
We have been blessed with His Imperial Majesty, Kadamawi Haile Selassie, as a perfect example.
Sight.
So, you know, we have a black print that is unshakable through history and through time. So, you know, as a brethren, I really want to speak to the Rastafari brethren, because, you know, we know a lot of ones will tell you about King Solomon. They will tell you about Bob Marley. They will give you these examples of why they must have many women.
Yeah.
And really we have to understand that a lot of what we see is coming from that same slavery, the breeder culture, where you had a black male stud and his job was to impregnate all of these women, to increase the population for menial labor. And when you check it, that's still that are gone.
Seeing.
You see what I'm saying?
So So basically, Gallus mentality, Gallus culture can
Slave
find its
mentality.
basis
Um,
in slavery.
Yes, it's definitely from that culture because it's not natural for a father
Interesting. I
to
mean,
have
really,
it's not natural for a father to have a youth and to not care for that youth. And as a man, your seed, you're protective over your seed naturally, because it's an extension of your legacy.
see,
So if a man so callously be able to impregnate a woman and then him doing business with the youth, or he might see the youth once a year, give the youth a sneakers. And, him a big father for the year, I beat him chest, but him have 13 youth.
yeah,
But is he involved with the day to day? Is he, there as a protector when uncle such and friend over there so try get frisky?
yeah,
That them know say a man is in the home. We are going to defend it with him life, you
Yeah.
know? So we have to look at His Majesty, Empress Menen, did not have to be crowned at the same time as His Majesty. His Majesty, remember, you have to go through fight, because the church never want that. The Empress supposed to crown 3 days following.
yeah,
His Majesty have to fight and say, no, my queen, I'll go get crowned because when I reveal to the world as the might and the power of the Trinity, I want them to see that principle with the balance.
yes,
That divine balance because my queen have to be beside me. She didn't share in the anointing oil, but she was crowned. She received her crown at the same time.
same time.
So for Rastafari brethren, we have to emulate that. And one of the things I see is a lot of brethren are not on their purpose. A man must have his purpose before he decides to take on to himself a woman. Because if you don't do that, you will waste a lot of time.
Yeah.
You will get distracted and you will possibly get the wrong female energy, which can also derail you.
Expand upon that a little bit more. When you say purpose,
Yes. What is your purpose here on earth to serve? That passion, that thing that drives you.
Yeah.
That, you have aptitude for your natural, almighty given gift. It's the duty of every man to identify that purpose, what that is, and to seek after that. Not doing so will bring you into ruin. You know what I mean? It's the same biblical type of thing with Jonah when the Almighty tell him go prophesy and him say no, belly of the whale. Whether you believe in the Bible or not, because a lot of man born the Bible, that is good. But whether you believe in the Bible or not, these ancient stories are to show you certain principles.
definitely.
You know what I mean? Where, all of us are made in the image and the likeness of the Almighty. You know what I mean? So therefore, we are the tools, we are the instruments of that divine will in a physical manifestation. So every man have him duty, have him post, whether he like it or not. A man achieve greatness, a Robert Nesta Marley, a man who take on that mission wholeheartedly with all him have, and we see he is given an everlasting legacy
True.
that will always endure,
True.
as long as the sun and the moon, people are going to play Bob Marley.
True.
You understand? He was given that. Same way with a man like Malcolm X, a Martin Luther King, certain man will rise to really fulfill their duty and their
Purpose,
legacy.
yeah.
So every man need to do that. And what happened to a lot of us in our younger days, we spend time jumping from woman to woman and we're not focused because the youth get the strength. That's when you have the strength to do the
Youthful
all-nighter.
exuberance.
You see me I say?
Yeah.
To really put in that 10,000 hours to achieve mastery,
Yeah.
in your 20s. By the time a man is 30 now, a man kind of ready to take on a queen and, you know what I mean, because
See,
he kind of balanced
But
with
which
himself.
you can tell that in the garrison say, outside of Rastafari, on a wider cult, a wider perspective, then
Yeah,
which
them no
you
want
can
hear
really
that.
reason
Yeah.
with and say, Virgin, so you have to really conduct yourself. You have to wait until you reach a certain age and you find your purpose before you can take on a woman to yourself.
Well, this is where we get into the nitty gritty. And this is big people talk time
Okay.
now.
All right.
All
Let's
right.
get into it.
Because sexual intercourse going coming at the thing. As a teenager, once the testosterone start flow and you start get certain feelings. So we have to be realistic about how we are look upon the thing.
Yeah.
However, we live in a time now where there exists technology where one can avoid having children. Because if you know that you're not really planning to have a family, you have to take the responsibility and the
precaution.
measures.
Yeah.
Buju Banton say, rude boy, don't be silly. Put a rubber on your willy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you have to also educate the youth them about these safe sex practices. We have to be realistic, because I'm a
Definitely.
realist. I'm not in a fantasy
Definitely.
thing either. I'm not one of them brethren where, you know, a man I go wait till 30 if he bust him ducks. That
Yeah,
never
that
happen.
never happen.
You see what I say?
Yeah.
But a man must know, say, when he's, you know, ready, you know, don't just be indiscriminately spreading your seed. Just like
Yeah.
how the woman is precious, your seed is also precious
Yeah.
in the sight of the
So,
Most
so
High.
as far as being sexually active, sorry, I don't want to.
No, go ahead. I'm enjoying it. Like
Yeah.
it's all good.
As
Just
far as
go
being
ahead.
sexually active, that is not really. That is not really the issue. The issue is procreation,
Procreation.
and bringing forth a youth.
And the responsibility
In a
that
earth and
comes
a
with it.
Right.
Yes, that you're not ready, because now we have to think of youth again, just like the Asian, as legacy, heirs, you know. The youth is the heir to inherit, to carry on that purpose, you know, to build upon what has been done and to also establish their own legacy. This is when you look at the Rothschilds, if you look at the wealthy families of the world, you know what I mean? You don't hear about these people, but them youths will never have to go look for a
Work.
job.
At all.
You see me I say? Them have
Generational
vast
wealth.
and all different businesses that come under the umbrella of the legacy that has been established. You see what I'm saying? So this is where every ghetto youth have to think, because badness is a scam.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? In the sense, how long bad man reign? You know what I mean? We have to, and I think we as Rastafari have done a poor job in terms of really highlighting that righteousness is
Yeah.
a lot more fun and enjoyable than the badness life.
True.
They
true,
make the badness look enticing to the youth them.
True.
Because even though is a short reign, the youth them see the flossing and
The
you know what I mean,
materialistic
the
things,
materialistic
yeah.
things, and them say, well,
Them feel say that is life and that is the enjoyment of life, and not knowing that their life is beyond just the clothes and you know what you can drive and stuff like that. So
you
yeah.
see, and it's touchable. They can see the local Dan who have these material things in them face.
Yeah.
So, you know, sometimes them look on the Ras and the Ras thing might look shabby
Yeah.
to how them and meditate where them
Yeah.
sip on MTV or
Yeah.
BET, you know what I mean? So we as Rastafari have to do a better job in terms of PR and marketing.
Yeah.
And some man like them terms, but
No,
like I said, me a
because
realist.
Rastafari was built, well, one of the, from my understanding, Rastafari's foundation, one of the pillars of Rastafari was withdrawing from society, separating itself from society. See? So for us now, as a culture, to evolve into being more progressive then and promoting Rastafari, it kind of seems kind of like religion now.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And enough ones very apprehensive, including myself, very apprehensive about preaching then, or promoting, because promoting is like preaching in my mind.
Yes.
So how would we get around? Because it's important to get to the youths, because you know we are no longer in the shadows, so to speak. We have become a part of the society.
Yes, I.
Seeing that has changed. A lot of ones don't want to accept that.
Yes, I.
But Rastafari has changed,
Yes,
has
sir.
evolved. So how do we get all of the ones them on board, or most of the ones are the influential ones then, on board to say, okay, we're going to try and reach the youths them even harder than what we have been doing, than how we have been doing it. How do we do that?
Again, we have to go forward to the source. One of the most photographed man in the history
Yeah.
of the planet,
Yes,
Designer
sir.
Father, Kadamawi Haile Selassie the first. So when you talk about image and managing image, you know what I
Yeah.
mean, His Majesty is the top of the class. So it's nothing new to I and I. In that time, the elders did have to withdraw from Babylon in order to, incubate the spiritual faith and the power that we now as youths inherit and enjoy. So they did have to separate for a time. But, the ultimate of this faith is following in the footsteps of our Father. So we have to create our own narrative, because what happens is that when we don't do it, people do it for you.
Exactly.
And that is what's been happening. So it's not necessarily even promoting, it's just capturing our liberty and packaging it in a way that is more up to date, modern, and appealing. And it's this reason that I was honored by His Majesty to be inspired to form the Association of Rastafari Creatives, ARC, which, one of the key things is fundraising, but also marketing and promotion and education, controlling the narrative about Rastafari in this modern time. We are now living in the age of repatriation, this great prophetic time that our elders sung about, prophesied, sat down, bun chalice, tell we about. We now get to see, Babylon locking down on the people, Africa opening our gates. We're seeing these monumental things, and because we're in the moment, sometimes it's shocking, because it's almost like we can't believe what we had told the whole world was going to happen, and we're not ready.
It's revealing
You see
itself
what I'm
now.
saying?
Yeah.
So we now have to really step up and tell that story as it's happening, and make the youth them know 2 roads before I pick your choice. There is hell and there is Zion. You know what I mean? Which one? You can go into scamming, the shatter lifestyle, and reign for 2 years. You can go into Rastafari farming,
Yeah.
and build a family. And guess what happened? If you have your own land and your woman, nobody can tell you how much youth you can have, because now you can provide,
Yeah.
for your family. So we have to get the youths them to see that, because again, we know sex and them thing, they motivate the youth them. But how can we put it in a framework of family if you know, say, when you find a wife, your wife will give you the things them when you want, when you want them,
True.
in a style where you like. We have to let the youth them know, Sometimes we're too prudish, and we think look kind of shabby
I agree
to the
with
youth
you.
them.
I
You see what I'm
agree
saying?
with you 100%. I feel like as a Rastafarian woman, I don't look like a typical Rastafarian woman. However, my beliefs and my values and my morals are very strong.
Yes.
Okay. However, with that said, I feel it's important for us to be a part of what's going on, but however, as you said, create our narrative towards the story. Not allow them to create what they think that we are, what they want us to be. But for us to say, all right, PR, marketing, all these things that they're shunning, so to speak, we could use these things to our advantage.
It's necessary, because we have to also create an economic base and an ecosystem. One of the reasons in music you're not hearing certain messages is because the man them have to be very safe with their
Censored.
message if they
Very
want to travel.
censored.
Because we're depending on an international market that has put certain restrictions and confines, so certain fire can't burn if you want to travel.
Yeah.
And worse if you have a live band and you are responsible for 15 grown man feeding. You can't just be irresponsible and say, me I go burn, and then the whole of we sit down
Everybody
at
did it,
Jamaica and
yeah.
nothing now go on.
True.
We can't fly. You see me I say
So what is your sorry.
All right, question about that, like how we're talking about that now. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the rapper The Baby.
Yes.
He's been getting a lot of backlash because apparently he went on, what was the festival? I don't
Rolling
remember.
Loud.
Rolling Loud. And he made comments against the LGB community,
Yes.
saying that, whatever it was, I'm not even really sure the exact thing, and I don't want to quote wrong. So he said a few things that they didn't like, so therefore, they've been canceling shows for him and all these things. And my thing is, when is there a point where we are, at least not even we as citizens, but as an artist, art musician, supposed to be able to voice freely who they are and their experience and what their life is and how they feel and their values and opinions? Because at the end of the day, there's an audience for it. There's a market for it. And they have their audience. He has his audience. He said whatever he said. Obviously, his audience know the type of person that he is. So for the world to take it, and then now his shows is being canceled and all these things, what are your opinion about it?
Well, first and foremost, we believe in the fundamental right of free speech. Even if you disagree, one should be free to block their sound. We also know that in Babylon right now it's compliance. is very paramount. So this is natural, and we've seen it happen many times. So the baby, have to be wise, in terms of what he's doing. Every community have the right, and in prophecy, if we look at this in prophetic terms, the prophecy said that everyone will continue to do what they are doing. You know what I mean? It's not our job to really respond for what the next community is doing. And I think that's where a lot of us get it wrong. What we need to be doing, again, is focusing inward on that relationship between the man and the woman.
Yeah.
I can't relate to what that community is doing.
Exactly.
Yeah, but the
And-
thing is, the thing
yeah.
about it is that even though you as an artist is not focused on what another community is doing, you have your own ideas and you're promoting your own values, and it is still a problem for another community, and because that community is more powerful than your community, they use that to try and block you from promoting your thing. You're not fighting against what they're doing,
Yeah.
but they use that power to inhibit you from
Earning.
coming into spaces
Yeah.
that you need to come into in order to feed your family, and then it comes right back now to what you're saying, or what you were about to say. Creating our own ecosystem. We really haven't done that. We haven't done that, and I think that, and I don't know if you agree with me, I think that Rastafari as a culture, there naturally there's a hierarchy within the culture, and you have ones that are more successful than others, and I feel like we're not doing a good job or a good enough job of helping each other up.
I agree. And I would say that the ecosystem that the baby is performing in was created by ones who have that lifestyle.
Right.
So
right.
if you know the history of the music business,
Right.
then you will understand that.
Right.
So we cannot wrong them
No,
for
definitely
policing
not.
their ecosystem,
Definitely
how
That is
they deem to police
Yeah.
it. You know what I mean? Because we have no illusion about
Definitely.
who has created
Definitely.
those channels, and that's why they're so effective when they're ready to cut off artists. And we've seen it happen many times. One of the reasons that dancehall and reggae stalled in America in the 90s was the infamous Shabba Ranks statement on British television,
Right. Right.
where all of the money and the major labels just withdrew
Right.
the support.
Right.
We were on the verge of becoming a major genre because the major labels had decided to invest in Jamaican music. But when that happened, we saw what happened. So we as a small nation, more than anyone, would know the power of that community. But again, it's their right. And, they've set a template as to how a community can create an ecosystem and to enforce their will upon that ecosystem. So now we, as the original people, do we feel bad about that, or do we create our own
Yeah, we should have been.
system?
We
But
should
it's
have
kinda
been
like
created.
We're second-class citizens.
Well,
When you really think about it.
remember that we are a people that was in exile, enslaved, going through indentured servitude. We didn't come out of indentured servitude, we still a fight for our freedom.
Yeah.
So it's also important to know your history so you know where you are on that baton relay race.
Yes.
And we are the generation of them that is still trying to rise to
Yeah.
freedom. We are, most of us, working to pay debt, which is the definition of an indentured servitude. You understand? So you're not really free. You don't own your house, you pay a mortgage. You rent your car, you rent your place, or whatever. So most of us don't own or are not settled. We're still coming out of that predicament.
Yeah.
In Africa, we had our tribal land. Everybody had their family land. You were seated on the land for generations. Most of us don't have that rootedness.
Yeah.
We're drifting.
So we need to go about rebuilding that.
We need to go about rebuilding that.
Yes.
And You know, the baby is just an instructive lesson to us all.
Yeah.
It's not, it's
For
nothing
sure.
new. And again, this is why I
And
bring
a
it
lesson
back
that
to.
we've been privy to for so often, you know.
Yes.
You name them, the Buju Bantams, the
Queen Ifrica.
Queen Africa, we have been, you know,
Yeah.
they have been teaching us these lessons, and it's like, for some reason, we still don't have the will within us to band together and build our own ecosystem, and I just can't understand why is it so difficult for us to help each other up.
When we were on the plantation, where two or more are gathered, you know, and you start reason for build up, you get whipped, you know. So it's a
Yeah.
very deep ingrained thing that we have, that fear.
So we still have that embedded within us.
We don't like to work together
Sheesh.
because it was danger, you know. So that, you know, there's a concept called epigenetics, meaning that trauma gets passed to your
But
DNA.
when do we shake that? When do we get past it?
Well, we are
Because
the
are we-
generation.
Okay.
That's why we're here on Marriage and Music podcast, you know.
Yeah.
That's why the item rise up a platform to have these discussions, you know, and other people are doing their other works.
Yeah.
What's important now is that we connect the dots
Yes.
as creators.
And that is what we want to do here. We want to figure out the moves, you
Yeah.
know, the avenues that are available for I and I to create this grand ecosystem of black culture, not just Rastafari, but, you know, as a whole, as a nation.
What episode number is this?
51.
On episode 51, I'm formally inviting the item to join the Association of Rastafari Creatives.
See,
Because
Give
I'm an
thanks.
actionist. That means action is my thing. I mean, I love the talking.
Yeah.
Part of it, we are do what we
Yeah.
are talk about
Yeah.
definitely.
in our real life. So it's an honor as a convener to come into your house and this warm, lovely home to invite two pillars, you know what I mean, in the content creation to become a part of the ARC family and to join us, you know, as we create this ecosystem. And, you know, it's a platform where you can promote the podcast. We have an app now,
Well, we are
a
excited.
website, you know what I mean? And it's slow, and someone that you love has been at the forefront, Sprague Benz.
Yeah.
You know,
that's
who
my,
has-
that's my
That's
blood, you know,
that's
it's my
his
uncle,
uncle.
you know.
Oh, I didn't even know that. Jay is a blood
Yeah, man.
relation. When I was checking the item,
Yeah, man, my blood.
you know, is a man I have the
It's
highest
like my
respect.
father, you know, we grew up in
Okay,
the same house.
okay,
You know, grew up,
okay.
you know. Yeah, man, that's like my father.
Okay,
You know.
the man I have the highest respect for, and
See.
he's really been a champion of ARC. You know, I call him, he didn't know me from Adam.
See.
And I tell him about ARC, and him does, you know, from him report to the duty, him never leave an inch, you know. So,
I started following you guys on Instagram because I saw that he posted it.
you see?
Yeah.
So that speaks for itself, you know.
Yes, sir.
And as an artist who's a legend, I always tell him, you know, it's humility.
Yeah.
Because when you hear him on the call, you would think him just, you know, he's a youth,
A
same
regular
way,
person,
you know.
yeah.
You wouldn't know, say this man is a legendary,
Yeah.
travel the world, and
See.
you know what I mean. So it's really, it's not going to be an overnight. It's not sexy to build, and that's the thing I learned is that the building. Everybody love running, you know, when the thing
It's
is
up and
is
running.
up and running, and
when
the
the
thing.
structure needs to be built. And
Yeah, and the sweat
nobody's
equity
there.
have to
Yeah.
put in.
Yeah.
This is why we don't have institutions, and this is why our community has run off of personalities and ego. So once that person drop, everything crash
See.
because we haven't built the institutional framework. And white supremacy is built on an institutional framework. It's not say, so no matter who dead,
It's still going to be running.
it's still going to be running like clockwork. So that is my life work right now, is to really help to build institutions that are going to serve Rastafari, serve I youths them.
Yeah.
And that is, you know, everything that I try to do right now is toward that mission. And we really give thanks again that we live in the information age.
Yes.
You know what I mean? This is not the industrial age. This is the information, this knowledge increase. So we can go online, there's so many ways to access
Yeah.
Yeah.
information. But I also want to make the point that not everything is online. Physical
good.
books are still critical.
Believe,
So,
but-
more on jump in at this reason,
All right.
right?
Go ahead.
I love that. When the
Um,
Queen make sure our king man
Yeah,
ready. Rub him again there.
you know, we touched upon it a little bit when he spoke about the Rothschilds. Building generational wealth within our community. Seeing as youths, we are come from nothing. How do we go about starting to? If you're a youth, then you're there on the corner, you're burn your herbs and you think to yourself, how you gonna make it out? How you gonna make a youth them? How you gonna reach to the level where a Rothschild are? You know, and you not really see your way out. How would you bring across that message to a youth like me then? Where I sit down on the corner and can't see the way out. What message? How would you bring across that message of hope that listen, this is the way it can be done, and this is what is needed, and these are the structures and whatever loopholes that you have to go through to reach a certain level then. And from your perspective.
First, you have to make the youth see the divinity within himself, you know, and make him understand that there's no one coming to save you, you know. That is the
Straight
first
up.
realization.
Straight
you know?
up.
The Almighty, that relationship you have is just a choice that you have to make. Once you make that choice to embrace the Almighty, then your journey begins. Education, the spirit needs to be fed, you know, or the iris we would say in Rastafari. It has to be fed. The more you feed the iris, the stronger it becomes. One of the best ways to feed the iris is reading, you know. If you cannot read, learn how to read, because you have to cover that hurdle of literacy. It's very critical so you can process information for yourself. You don't have to go from second hand where a man will tell you, you know.
Yeah.
The other thing now is that once you start to educate yourself, self-discipline, right now we're talking about a concept called dick discipline. You understand? Meaning, as a youth, Impa, that energy, when you burst your juice all over the place, it's going to deplete your drive.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So a youth man must be very select.
Yeah, so the
in
dick
how-
discipline is very important.
Dick discipline
Yeah.
is very important.
Say that one more time.
Dick discipline, and
Okay.
this is a not a concept that I've invented. You know, there's a whole debate in America.
Yeah.
You know, there's a thing called the manosphere that has risen up that I've been observing, and I love it because they're having these discussions, you know, in Black America right now,
See.
and it's all about leveling up yourself as a man.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Because there's also a term called hypergamy,
Hypergamy.
which means that a woman is attracted to someone who's either on her level or above in terms of economics.
Okay.
So that means women seek stability. You know what I mean? That is a woman. For a woman to respect you,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Just as a natural, she wants to know, say, you can provide. So a lot of
Most women
males
like
get
that.
into relationship. Yeah, man, them a throw the thing. Them have the stroke. You know? Yeah, she give them the grip on the muscle and all these things. But then it don't last because guess what? She lose respect.
Yeah.
He's not able to be that provider.
Yeah.
You know, he might even be dependent on her from an economic, because a lot of black women are working. A lot
True.
of black men are having trouble with employment. So these are things that a man have to know going in, because
Yeah.
a lot of time a man even would have feelings for a sister and don't know why she lose interest, because when she don't feel that provision, you know, her things them are gonna dry up upon you, you know.
Definitely.
And you're not gonna get the things them.
Definitely.
Or you want. That's just a fact
Yeah.
of life. You know what I mean? So a man have to know these things so that he can know that if I want to enjoy the long-term company of a woman, I must make myself on that level to be able to sustain that woman.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So as a youth, yeah, and know that you cannot reach the pinnacle of your purpose without that woman beside you, because
Straight up.
that balance is going to be
Very important. Something
know?
that I learned on the journey, and maybe I learned that, in all honesty, A good six to 7 years now.
Okay.
That-
yeah, man.
You know, in order for your purpose to be fulfilled the real way, you have to have that balance beside you.
Yeah, man.
Otherwise, you fight a losing battle.
Losing battle, my brethren. And a lot of ones don't real. There's a reason why millionaires and billionaires are married. There's a reason, you know. You don't see much single ones, the ones who make decisions will run the world. They have families, you know.
Yeah.
And there's a reason for that. Legacy, balance. When Amlock Red Square make a decision, you know, him have a thing, you know, say me have my queen for go home to, or my youth them. So him a go moderate how him a move in creation more than a single man who don't have a care in the world. You
Yeah,
understand?
true.
So that make him more wise.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To be able to navigate and then to build, and then your queen now is gonna be that wise counsel.
Yeah.
To show you things where you wouldn't maybe see by yourself.
Yeah, but all right then. So an interesting question would arise from a situation like you have women that are married
Yes.
that would rather their husbands be in a circle with other married men and not necessarily single.
Single men.
And how does that help our culture? Because if I am a married man and I have a single virgin and I can reason with him and show him certain energy and bring him up to speed and bring him up to game, then that is
But him a go put you upon pure foolishness.
No,
Because
if
when
I
him a
strong-
when him a indulge in the carelessness, you go see it and you go miss it and you go say,
No.
boy, you know, so remember when we used to do that too?
it not must go the way they do.
Majority of the time it will.
No, and that's where
Okay.
we disagree. That is where we disagree. Because I think that, you know, as a man that is firm and strong in his principles and values and morals, as I am right now, at this point in my journey, I think that I am of great use to a man out there who is single and just a do him thing. Seeing, because when we go down on a reason with him and I show him certain things, he will see the value in what I am saying, because he will see me as that stable person that has everything that is good going on right now. And the reason why me have it is because me have a firm belief
Yeah, but you
that me
don't-
have a queen on my side.
Yeah, man.
Him
See?
can't see that from afar.
No,
him
he
not offer
can't.
the next tier for
I
her.
don't
Him
think
can't see that
I don't
from-
think him can see it from afar,
pretty
because you know,
sure.
because it, as you said, from the outside looking in, he might have said my life miserable because me have one woman and that's
Yes,
it.
yes.
When really and truly, my life great, awesome, beautiful.
Yeah, man.
Things are move even more beautiful than when
But
we
you
did
know-
move a certain way.
But you know why most men think that way? Because them see them friend have 2, 3, 4, 5 women.
And that's
So
what-
it entices them. So it's like, okay, I want to be a part of that again. So you having single friends, that's gonna want to make you
No,
reminisce.
What do I
Yeah,
think
but
about that?
There's a balance. There's a balance, because I think married men have to do a better job again of the marketing and the PR of the institution of marriage.
True.
being
Because we a lot of
married
times
men.
are silent. You know, when we
True.
amongst a single friend, you know, sometimes we are listening to story them and we not tell the stories about.
And not tell the beautiful stories, the good
beautiful-
stories where, you know, the
Yes,
happiness.
and make it appealing,
exactly.
you know, to.
I bet-
But I don't think
No,
you can.
let the man
You
speak, man.
cannot cut out the single friend them completely. You know, so I see the value of what the brethren is saying, because there has to be a light and a lifeline for I brethren, but there has to be a balance, and you have to have leadership and again
Yes.
that discipline. So, you know, you're.
And it builds up your discipline too. Same
Yeah, and
way.
your king man seem like a very disciplined. You look like you win the lotto, you know, because the
You
king
just
man,
don't know him.
the king
Now
man.
he's great.
Yes.
Now,
Yes.
catch him 10 years ago,
Uh-huh.
because we've been together for 20 years now.
Okay, give thanks.
Catch him 10 years ago.
Evolution.
As the man say,
Evolution.
we are reformed.
You see,
Yalis.
reform.
Oh, okay.
Yalis.
Okay. Okay.
All right, reform.
All right.
Him did have to live some life that he could know the gem where him have it. And his
Listen,
own,
you don't need
know?
to live a life to know what this is. This you can look
Okay,
at this and
okay,
see all the
okay.
gem, all the diamonds, the glitter, the sprinkles, the spark. Everything is here. You don't. Come on, stop.
That is true.
Okay.
Is it
That is
there?
true.
But I'm a believer that we have to reason with our single brethren
Yeah,
and
boy.
give them
Important.
an example, because most of the people right now them single. So that's also a reality.
Yeah.
You know, because we have so many broken homes, I think, in America. They're
Worldwide,
saying
man.
80% of the youths are being born in to single,
Single
parent.
parent. I mean,
80%.
I grew up
That
in
is a
America.
very high
Yes,
number.
I grew up in America.
Where,
And
where?
I grew up in New York, in the
Okay,
Bronx.
okay.
And
I have family in the Bronx
Really?
too, yes.
I was one of the few students in my class, in every class that I've been in, that had both parents in the household.
So you grew up in a two-parent
Yes.
home, which is a very big predictor. So even that the item of a stable family here,
Mhm.
Yeah.
that is a very great strength because you saw it modeled.
I saw that within my household and, throughout my family, because most of
Mhm.
my aunts, they're married, they've been married for years. So I was raised seeing that black family, together and everyone just living under one roof and being happy and all of that. So it's something that is very shocking, but it is true. Like 80% of America, most of the families are single families. And it's sad because the fathers are around, they're just not present in their
They're
lives.
not in the home. And
Like it's,
and we've gotten so nonchalant about this, and some of our artists, have to take responsibility for perpetuating these things. And Rastafari artists I'm talking about because I can't respond for
Yes.
bald-head artists, but
Mhm.
a lot of Rastafari artists are even pushing this gallus
Yeah.
lifestyle and confusing the youths them about what this culture represent.
Yes.
One thing I do respect, even though Bob Marley was a live certain life, he never really push it that much in the
Yeah.
music. You know what I mean? He did try keep the
and you
music
never really see that. With
Separate
you-
and apart
yeah,
from-
exactly,
Exactly.
from
Yeah.
what he was
And,
doing.
and I
you
think
know?
that is a mistake that some of the artists are making. They don't understand that the word sound is like they say it, but they don't really believe
Yeah.
it.
Yes.
And it's creating
And that's
confusion.
why the songs don't last that long either because they don't. The Marley songs them will last because him live with Peter Tosh, them will live what them sing about. They weren't perfect by any stretch, but their music means something.
Yeah.
Because them really seek to live that. And we also have to highlight a lot of the artists that are singing
Definitely.
strong
Yeah.
music,
Definitely.
such as the I Self
Definitely.
and many others, So we don't want to just dwell on the negative.
On certain
all the time
negatives,
either,
true,
because
definitely.
there's so many who are carrying the torch.
Definitely.
But we have to burn a fire unquenchable on the distortion because one of the conversations that we've been having is that for the youths coming up now, because a lot of the original elders are passing off now. I trod through the Nyabingi order, so that is my order. A lot of those original Asian elders are no longer with us, that even I, who came in the late 90s into Rastafari, even a lot of them, that was still a late time, enough of the original man had already passed by that time, but I got to meet Bongo Watto in Augustown,
See?
get to, interact with certain Asian Bongo Pidao, certain ones where, it was a great honor. And now these youths don't know that set of elders, so they're seeing a generation of Ras when them look up and them see a Ras, him have tattoo, him have earring, him have talk about gallus,
Yeah.
him pants tight and it sat down, you know what I mean? So the
Yeah, man.
same thing that they're seeing the swaggy ballet them do the Ras
Yes,
them,
yeah.
do the same thing. So for him, as a young youth, his concept of Rastafari
Confusion.
completely
Change.
different.
Yeah, man.
Then when I was young and we were looking at the Asian Congo man who go river and you know
Yeah.
what I mean, that concept not
Yeah.
really, the youth them not seeing that
Definitely.
concept
Yeah.
again. So our generation have a duty to really,
Restore certain energy.
Yeah.
certain energy, return us to our agricultural foundation. We're really big on food security, food sovereignty. That's one of the things with art that we're doing. We have to return to the foundation. Leonard Howell built an economic foundation on agriculture. Pinnacle was an agrarian community. We have to return. Marcus Garvey was about the industry. We're coming from Garveyite roots, so Rastafari have to return to that repatriation. We don't even hear the man them a sing about repatriation more than so again.
Yeah.
We forget about Africa. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So we have to really, those of us who still are Chad, and they are now at the forefront and live that family life, they have to make those songs about the family and, songs about being a father to your children and different topics that we're
Yeah.
not
Really
hearing,
much, yeah.
you know, much, so that the youth them can start think positive about those things.
And that's why we
Yeah, man,
wanted to do.
for
That's
real.
why we actually started this podcast. That's one of the reasons,
brilliant.
because
It's
we were
brilliant.
thinking about it. Like, we don't really have a couple that's really sitting down and discussing certain situations that are taking place within our community, and being open and honest, and not just giving you a piece of it or sugarcoating it. And we wanted to be that voice, to just say, well, this is what we're going through, and this is what I know a lot of people are going through.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So it's something that we can have an open dialogue about. We can all sit down and get to understand, like, okay, they went through this, let me take a different route so that I don't have to go through this, or the heartache or the pain or whatever it is
Yeah,
that
man.
the situation, carries.
And that's why it's so important to have you here with
Yes.
us tonight. You know
Yes.
what I mean? Because it shows that, we are reaching a certain audience, and the work that we're putting in is not going unnoticed.
No.
You know what I mean? So we
I've
really
been-
appreciate
I've been
that.
watching. No, I've been watching, and
Coming true.
Yes.
it's almost like it's a come out of my own heavens, because I'm really, like I said, this relationship thing, I realize that is what the focus needs to be on, because
Yeah.
a lot of time white supremacy global, it's very hard to say you're going to tackle that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
One thing you can control is how you relate to other people in your life, and most
Yeah.
importantly to your woman or to your man.
Yeah.
That is something that tomorrow we can work on that. You know what I
Definitely.
mean?
Definitely.
So it's more touchable. And even, I've stepped out recently as an artist. I put up my first project, The Keeper of the Door mixtape. If you go to www.thechazmatchkwasi.com, you would see a link on SoundCloud. Just release it. I've been doing music since I was in 10th grade, so it's nothing new in terms of music, but in terms of putting it out for public consumption,
Yes, sir.
it's very new to I.
Yes, sir.
But one of the things with COVID is it gave space to really sit down and
Expand the
finally kind of
creativity,
max
yeah.
out
Yeah.
some of these things. And, the technology is such that you don't have to go through too much middleman. And that was also my problem with the music industry, because I know how it actually works,
Yeah, man.
from a behind the scenes standpoint. And I was not willing to really go through that. So now I have that opportunity. And a lot, if your listeners go and listen to the mixtape, they'll find most of the songs are about relationships, topics, because that is really, I think, what we need to solve over this next little 10 years. I think right now we're going in the roaring 20s, about history repeats itself.
Yes.
And in the 1900s, there was a Spanish flu. Huge epidemic, killed millions of people. Coming out of that Spanish flu, we went into the roaring 20s in
A lot of
America.
people were enjoying themselves and parties and
Merrymaking
yeah.
The most fun, and that's,
Yeah.
coming out of COVID, we already see it started.
Yes,
When
definitely.
COVID opened up, the thing will go
Yeah.
crazy. Because
Definitely.
people have been cooped up for so
Yeah,
long. and,
yeah.
Definitely.
You know what I mean? But what happened after the roaring 20s was the Great Depression.
Yes.
Crash.
Yes, yes.
Like never before
Yes.
seen.
Yes.
Some people would relate it to the coronation of His Imperial Majesty coming on the throne. Why, some classes of people thinking the Redeemer had come, God had come, the world had end, taking
Yeah.
out the stock market crash.
Yeah.
All these things happen, the fear took hold of them there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And now, those who didn't survive the roaring, those who didn't prepare, were, it was a great tribulation.
Yeah, man.
So I know in this next decade is preparation.
Yeah, man,
time.
we have to prepare.
You
Very
know
good
what I
point.
mean? It's a preparation
Yes, I.
time. So
Yes, I.
now is the time for couple up.
Mm-hmm.
Now is the time for really find that person who you can build with, because we saw with the lockdown. Suppose you did with a careless woman during the lockdown.
We talked about that.
You know what I mean? Or suppose you did with someone where, you know what I mean? And you just, that's why a lot of marriages, a lot of things mash up to.
Yeah.
On the other side of it, because people found out this is the person I'm really
Really
with.
with, yeah.
You know what I
Definitely.
mean? Because before we might have been just two
Going-
ships in the
going,
night,
yeah.
come home from work, we see each other a little bit and
Mhm.
go asleep, so you don't even really know that person.
Yeah.
But lockdown force you day in and day out
Yeah.
to deal with this choice that you have made.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
So, I'm telling everyone right now is the time to really be like the ant in the summertime
Yeah, man.
and work assiduously to get your affairs together. And remember, you had said you want to talk about wills and
Yeah, man.
estates and these things.
Yeah, man.
It's very important.
Wanted to touch upon that a little bit.
Yeah,
Yes.
man. And
Before
also,
we close it out. How do we, what?
The importance of having a will and
The-
testament.
Yes.
it's important. The family is the first government, you know. So we have to see it in that manner, which means that there has to be an infrastructure that sustains that family, and you want to put that in place. The will and the test, both the will, the living will, because there are two different type of will. You have the will if you pass, but you have a living will if you're incapacitated and for any reason you
Okay.
can't,
Make
communicate your
decisions.
wishes.
Okay.
Okay.
There is a document that tells how you would like things to go.
Seen.
That should also be coupled with things like life insurance. Every family should be buying life insurance policies for every family member. We don't want ones to pass away and then you have to do a GoFundMe because you didn't make the preparation. Also remembering that these policies, when someone passes, can bring an influx of cash that can help set up the family as well. You know what I mean? And put the family in a better position.
The position, yeah.
A
True.
lot of I don't like that because even within Nyabingi, we used to bond debt, and we used to let the dead bury the dead. It's just, even though I don't too go funeral, but, there was one time I was very militant about, family member not in a matter.
Yes, sir.
Go.
Yes, sir.
But,
Myself.
but as we get older now, we still realize that life happened and, within the passing of time. And I, the powers where I are trod with, we conquer death and hell. So we can step in any arena.
Straight.
And you know what I mean? So a lot of that reasoning prevented us from even wanting to address a will, a living will, life insurance and these things.
Yeah.
But we find ourselves in this cycle. There was about a decade in this trad where I was just constantly raising funds for elders that pass away. Phone call, my phone, we have to find and just get up, some funding for bury an elder, you know what I mean? And it's very taxing
Yeah,
after
man.
a while,
Yeah, man. Yeah,
So we realize that these are things that we have to put in place for the family so that your youths them, the Almighty, for, something happened to you. You want to know, say, 'cause anything can happen.
Yeah,
You want
definitely.
to know, say,
You're
your
taken
youth
care
them
of.
taking
Taken
care of you.
care
You
of.
don't want to know, say, your queen now go after a struggle.
Yeah.
Are these things. So it's very important for I to really
Think about getting a will and testament
all of
sorted out,
these things.
organized.
We see even Bob Marley, certain ones who didn't have it, the conflict it causes because everyone now are trying to
Trying to
interpret
money grab now,
what
yeah.
they thought that
He
should
would have
be,
given
you
them.
know what I mean? So
Yeah.
very, very critical, and I'm glad that the IDM are, creating a platform where we can talk about these things
Definitely.
from a Rastafari Pan-African perspective.
Point of view, exactly.
Because we are maturing as a nation.
Yes.
We are growing into our season. It's our time now. We as the youth now have become the adults
Yes.
in the trad.
Yes,
You know
yes.
what I mean? So now we have to look at our elders, learn from what they did, and then also learn what not to do, because we also learn from some of the mistakes that they made. And now we can set a foundation to elevate this thing so that when our youths now become the adults, they have an infrastructure that they can inherit.
Yeah, man. Very important. Seeing so, you don't know. We reason about Rastafari, but this is something that can be attributed to any part of society, no matter who you are, no matter where you come from. Seeing, if you're in a relationship, if you have a strong queen beside you or a strong king beside you, and you decide to eat this year, then you really need to think about getting yourself situated.
Yeah, getting certain
Seeing,
things into
will
preparation.
and testament, them things that important.
Yeah.
Please remember
Life
that.
insurance is very important. Make sure
Yeah.
you make sure that your family is taken care of and protected when
Yeah,
you're
man.
not here, when you're gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was a great reasoning.
Yeah, man, really
I
appreciate
Thanks. I don't
The
mind it on
vibration.
that note.
Yeah.
I want to just say, to take it off of that,
Mm.
that to all the wives out there, make sure when your husband want things, you give him the things them.
Yeah.
This is very important.
Okay.
We have to end with life.
Yes,
We're going to
life.
that topic.
Yes.
When your king man want the things, give him the things.
Yes.
He's there with you. He's on the back of field with you.
Yes.
Don't make the man even have to ask you for the things. Just give it to him. You understand?
Why you
To all of the wives out there, I'm entreating you
Yes.
to give the man the things.
Give the man.
Okay.
And
Give the man the thing. That is all.
Listen, you can't give him the big things. Them sell the $100 buckle. Them sell the $200 buckle. You
No.
can't get any size
No.
thing you want. You hear that?
No carbonated
Alright.
drinks. We're not talking about that. You understand?
But everyone will overstand.
You overstand.
Yes, and we end there with life over
Yes.
there.
man.
Yes,
Give
sir.
thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, man,
We
our
greatly
esteemed
appreciate.
guest.
Yes.
Kwesi.
It was an honor and it was
Mansu
a
Esquire.
privilege and a joy, and I hope I can return when I come forward to Jamaica.
Yes,
Yes.
King.
I-
Anytime.
I have
Always.
this as a
Welcome,
Always
platform.
welcome.
Welcome.
And please let the audience know where they can find the book, where they can follow you on social media.
Yes.
And yeah,
Because we'll definitely have it in the
in the bio and the link.
The
we'll
links
make
as
sure to
well.
put
But
it,
it's the Chaz Match Kwasi across all platforms. DEJAZMATCHKWASI across all platforms: Facebook, Twitter, IG, and thechazmatchkwasi.com is the website
Yes.
where everything, all of my work, the non-profit works. If you want to book entertainment law, consultation, if you want to buy the book, listen to mixtape, I'm on the board of several non-profits. The links are there. We're doing some mighty works in Africa. I'm going to launch the book in Ghana.
Yes, sir.
So when I come forward, I definitely will tell you about the launch and what's happening in Africa. We have to do a whole show just about
Yes,
Africa.
King.
man,
Yes,
we're
King.
ready.
Because
We're
I
ready.
saw that you were I don't know if it was advertising some houses or some
Yes.
structures there in Ghana.
The Kazi Project,
Yeah, man.
abishainc.org, and
We
I'll
need-
send
we
you
need to reason about
yeah.
that.
So that's a whole thing. I
Yeah.
have a whole heap of thing for reason
Yes,
about, you know.
definitely. Trust me.
I
Just
definitely
give a
want you to-
slice.
Yeah, that's,
tonight.
that's a small
Just a
slice
small
we touch.
slice because we
I
just
don't even
meet
touch-
the family for the first time.
Yeah.
Yes.
So as we meet and the family grow together
grow,
now and we
exactly.
know each
We're
other
gonna be
more.
back again.
And even I would love to come back on here with my queen too, even though she's
That
not
would
a
be
you know,
amazing.
even though she's not a frontline person,
Yeah.
I would drag her onto the thing. So because marriage and music, you
Yes,
know,
King.
music and marriage. So
Yes.
King.
you know what I mean. There's so much possibilities
Yes, King. Yes,
for the
King. Yes,
future.
King.
So
Just
we
a
just
small
give thanks.
It's a small slice. Don't worry on yourself. More than that.
And we thank you for accepting the invitation.
Yeah, man.
It was a great, great interview. You dropped a lot of
Gems.
gems for our audience, and again, we give thanks
Yes,
for
sir.
your support, for you passing through,
Yes, sir.
and for you blessing us with this great reason and all the information that you gave us. We give thanks for it.
Yes, and we just say, let the words of thine mouth, meditations of thine heart, humbly and truly be acceptable in thy sight. O true and living I, His Imperial Majesty, Emperor Yeli, Selassie I the First, King Rastafari, and I strength, and I Redeemer, the eye that long liveth and reigneth forever and ever. See that.
Say that.
Yes, sir.
That felt good.
Yeah, man.
Yes, please. Thank you guys so much for joining us on another episode. Before we log out, make sure you guys go and subscribe to all of our
Platforms, social media platforms.
yeah, all of our social media platforms.
So,
Make sure you go on
IG,
YouTube.
YouTube,
If you're streaming on any of the platforms,
Spotify,
Apple
Apple
Music,
Podcasts, Anchor FM.
iHeartRadio, we're
Yes.
available on all streaming platforms where
Yes.
podcasts are available.
Yes.
So make sure you go and check us out. Thank you guys so much for joining us on another episode of Music and Marriage.
Uh-huh.
My name is Nikita. I'm your host. This is my co-host.
I'm like Red Square. Salute. Kwesi. Give thanks, I.
We're all
Aye.
good people.
Rastafari.
Highly.
Give thanks.